There are two types of land use. The first type is rural land use. And in rural area, you can see farms, mountains, and trees. And the second type of land use is urban land use. And in urban areas, you can see tall buildings, such as commercial buildings and other institutional buildings like police stations. And here are the three characteristics of rural areas. First of all, it is the land use found in the countryside. Farmland and country parks are examples. And if you want to see the rural area, you can go to the new territories. Although Hong Kong is an international metropolis, most of its land is rural land. The rural land use accounted for more than 70% of land use. See this pie chart? This is the statistics from the Land Department of the Hong Kong government. You see, the woodland, wetland, and other rural areas constitute about 70% of Hong Kong's land use, which is about 774 kilometers per square. And residential use just accounted for 77%, which is 1/10 of the rural area land use. The second land use is urban land use. It is found in built-up areas, and it accounted for only 25% of land area in Hong Kong. This area has tall buildings, community facilities, and highways. So where are the urban areas in Hong Kong? You can find these areas on the northern part of Hong Kong islands, such as Central, Admiralty. And then you can find the urban area in Kowloon, Tsim Sha Tsui, and Mong Kok are examples. And in the vast swath of land in the new territories, the urban areas are mainly in new towns. And here are the examples of new towns: Sha Tin, Tai Po, Fanling, Shen Shui, Tseung Kwan O, Tuen Mun, and Yuen Long. This graph shows the urban area distribution. As you can see, the red areas are concentrated in the Kowloon Peninsula, Hong Kong Island, especially on the north of the Hong Kong Island. And then other urban areas are in the new territories. For example, in Tuen Mun, Yuen Long, Shen Shui, Tai Po, and Sha Tin. And there is also a new town near the airport. This is Tung Chung. And what are the characteristics of urban areas? First of all, it has tall buildings, and its population density is very high. In other words, there are many people in the urban area. And why are there so many people in the urban area? One of the reasons is that it is conveniently located. It has many transport facilities, so it is easy for people to go to these areas. However, one disadvantage of living in the urban area is that it has less green area, so people may not be able to enjoy the beautiful natural scenery in the urban area. And if they want to, they need to travel to the country parks in Hong Kong to see the forest, hills, and other lovely animals. How about rural areas? it has tall building. It has low buildings, and the buildings are mainly cottages and houses. And the main point is it has low population density. That means there are very few people in the rural area. And since there are few people in the rural area, the demand for transport is low. That's why many rural areas are not well connected to the urban area, and there are very few transport facilities. Usually, there is no train and also other major modes of transport. And if you want to go to the rural area, you may take a taxi or a minibus if there is a minibus service there. And one advantage of living in rural areas is that there is a vast green area. So it is convenient for you to enjoy your leisure time if you live in near the country parks. As you can see, this is a table comparing urban and rural areas. And there are 4 criteria for comparison. The first criterion is the height of buildings. The second criterion is the population density. The third criterion is transport facilities. And the fourth criterion is the size of green areas. As you can see, urban areas have taller buildings, higher population density, more transport facilities, but less green areas. In contrast, rural areas have lower buildings, lower population density, less transport facilities, but more green areas. This is the first assignment here. We will do an exercise about the development plan of Lantau Island. And in the development plan formulated by the Hong Kong government, there are 6 mega projects in this plan. The first one is the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. The name has already told you that this bridge is to connect Hong Kong and Macau and Zhuhai, so as to facilitate the transport among these 3 major big cities in the Grand Bay area. The second one is the 3rd airport runway, because the Hong Kong airport is now running at full capacity to maintain its competitiveness and to accommodate more flight transport. The government had decided to build a 3rd airport runway. And the 3rd project is the extension of Tung Chung New Towns. And the 4th item is the artificial island of Zhuhai Macau Bridge. And the 5th one is the reclamation of Sunny Bay, which obviously serves as an extension of the Hong Kong Disneyland. And the 6th item is to build an artificial island in the water east of Lantau. And this artificial island is designated as the future business area for Hong Kong. This is to ease the pressure, the density of Central. And it is expected that some big companies will move their headquarters or offices to this artificial island. Okay, so I'll put the worksheet on the e-class system, and please submit the worksheet to the following email address. Okay, now I will illustrate different land uses in the urban area. The first popular use is residential land use. And this area, of course, is for people to live. And there are two types of residential housing in Hong Kong: public housing and private housing. An example is the Wafu Estate near our school. And the example of private housing is also the Chifu Garden above our school. And the next land use is industrial land use. And the industrial area is for people to engage in industrial activities. And most industrial areas have factories. And these factories uh, have different purposes. Some factories for garment and other types of buildings for producing different kinds of products, such as pharmaceutical products. However, as Hong Kong has transformed itself from an industrial city into a commercial and financial city, most industrial buildings have been turned into other types of buildings, or the flats, the factories in those industrial buildings have been converted to other uses. And if you want to see those buildings, you can go to Kwun Tong, Sanpo Gong, Chai Wan, Kwai Chung, Tuen Mun, and Tsuen Wan. And the next land use is commercial land use. And this is the area where commercial activities take place. This photo is the headquarters of the HSBC in Hong Kong. It is an iconic building in Central. And around these commercial buildings, there are many shops, such as shops selling the sewage products, or shops selling cars, because people or the office workers working in these commercial areas are wealthy, and so they have huge spending power. And Central, Wan Chai, and Admiralty are commercial areas. And the next land use that I'm going to talk about is mixed land use. This is the type of land occupied by two or more types of land use. And usually you can find the mixed land use in old urban areas, such as Sham Shui Po, Mong Kok, and Yau Ma Tei. And this photo was probably taken somewhere in Sham Shui Po. And in Hong Kong, the mixed land use usually mixes up commercial land use and residential land use. And as you can see, the residents live above the shops. Next is the recreational land use. And this is the area where people can enjoy their leisure time. And examples of recreational land use are parks, swimming pools, and sports grounds. This is the Chuan Kwong Sports Ground, and this is one of the newly built sports grounds in Hong Kong. This is institutional use. Institutional use means the government departments or social organizations, such as the Salvation Army or the Boy Scout, use the land. And two typical examples of institutional use are police station and fire station. Next. This is transport land use. Roads, airports, railways, and ferry piers are examples of transport land use. Now, this is the central pier, uh, and this is a replica of the old clock tower of the old central ferry pier. And this is the lobby of the Hong Kong train station. This is the lobby of the Hong Kong train station.